illness which influences an individual's thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and behaviours, typically diagnosed between mid-teens and late 20s. There is an established neurodevelopmental hypothesis which suggests that individuals that go on to develop schizophrenia as a subtle deviance in their brain development, of which consequences usually do not present as clinical symptoms until between the ages of 15 and 30. The paper focuses on the link between early developmental impairment in children and the development of schizophrenia and other severe psychiatric disorders. The link between developmental delays and development of psychiatric illness has been established without previous research. However, milestone delays in regards to schizophrenia has not previously been used. The aim of the study was to examine neuromotor milestone development delays in individuals who go on to develop schizophrenia or another psychiatric disorder compared to individuals who do not. They hypothesized that there would be associations between delayed attainment of certain neuromotor milestones on the diagnosis of schizophrenia later on in life. The final sample consisted of 5,765 individuals made up of 2,934 males and 2,831 females. The original sample consisted of 9,125 babies born at the Copenhagen University Hospital from October 1959 to December 1961. Demographic data was collected and was an accurate representation of the social class of the Denmark. The collected information included sex of the child, single mother status, mother's and father's age, parental social status, and breadwinner's education. The study categorized individuals into one of three groups based off information gathered from the Danish Psychiatric Central Register. They were placed into the schizophrenia diagnosis group if they had better had a hospital admission under a schizophrenia diagnosis, into the other psychiatric diagnosis if they had had a psychiatric admission under any other diagnosis, or into the no diagnosis group if they had never had a psychiatric admission within a Danish hospital. Milestones were recorded in a standardized diary that were given to mothers to record the age of their child when they achieved each of the 12 developmental milestones. The mothers were required to bring the diary to the one-year checkup. Ethics approval was granted by the Regional Scientific and Ethics Committee for the follow-up and access of the Danish Psychiatric Central Research Register. The register was used to determine admissions to Danish psychiatric units between 1969 and 2007. Data was analysed using an overflow by ENCODE to determine whether there were differences between categories on each of the 12 individual milestones and on three subfactors, those being 1, lifting and smiling, 2, rolling, crawling, sitting and grabbing, 3, standing and walking. ENCODE adjusted for sex of the child, single mother status, mother and father's age, social status, and breadwinner's education. ENCODE demonstrated significant delays in development of 5 milestones in the schizophrenia diagnosis group compared to the no diagnosis group. These were smiling, lifting heads, sitting without support, crawling a longer distance, and walking without support. ENCODE demonstrated similar results but also showed significant delays to standing without support. There was only one significantly noticeable delay with the schizophrenia group compared to the other group, which was walking without support. The study's hypothesis that there would be association between late attainment of milestones and the development of schizophrenia. Although there was statistically significant delays in the schizophrenia diagnosis, not all individuals with the diagnosis showed delays. The study was consistent with previous research, especially the support that delayed smiling, standing, and walking is associated with psychiatric diagnoses. The study suggests that a delayed achievement of smiling milestone could be connected to a lack of exposure to positive emotions or social skills. These delays could also point to the slight abnormalities in brain development suggested by the neurodevelopmental hypothesis. There are 4 methodological limitations which will be highlighted. The first is the risk of underdiagnosis, as only the Danish Psychiatric Central Register was used to determine the diagnosis of schizophrenia and other psychiatric diagnoses. Most only severe cases would have become hospitalized and would therefore appear on the register. There is also the possibility that individuals would have moved abroad and therefore received treatment outside of Denmark. It is therefore highly possible that there are other individuals within the cohort that would fall into one of these 2 groups but have never been hospitalized within Denmark. This point ties into the limitation of a lack of standardized diagnostics too. As it was such a large sample, the only feasible option was to use the Danish Psychiatric Central Research Register to diagnose disorders within individuals. Each hospital could possibly have their own individual way of diagnosing patients due to the wide range of symptoms that can be presented with psychiatric patients. It is possible that patients presenting with similar symptoms at different hospitals could receive different diagnoses. The next limitation is that of missing data. There was between 10.7% and 60% missing data on the 12 individual milestones. There was a higher rate of missing data on the later milestones, perhaps simply due to mothers forgetting to record or to shave, or due to milestones not yet having been achieved by the follow-up. To make up for the use for missing data, the EM algorithm was used, however, the inputted data was only used for assumption testing. The main analysis was run without missing data. Having such a high frequency of missing data could have led to misleading results and errors, which leads into the next point of type 1 and type 2 errors. The fourth limitation was the risk of a type 1 error due to running of multiple tests. However, the article notes that due to the nature of the data, they were more interested in avoiding type 2 errors, so they did not apply corrections which could have helped to protect against false positives. Although the study received ethics approval for access to the register, a major ethical limitation is in regards to informed consent. Consent was made by the mothers when the participants are born. Participants never consented to the study themselves. The participants may have not been aware of the information was being accessed and utilized for this purpose. If made aware, participants may not have consented to their records being accessed and may have made the decision to withdraw from the study. The strengths of the study include the sample size was very large and a good reputation, the demographics of Denmark making it a fairly accurate representation of the population drawn from. The recording of milestone attainment was self-reported in real time. This helped to guarantee that data collected was both reliable and valid. The study filled a knowledge gap about the specificity of developmental delays and related to schizophrenia. The study was the first to examine milestone delays in relation specifically to schizophrenia over other psychiatric disorders. The study provides some direction of future research as to what specific milestones to examine in relation to development of schizophrenia. The study clumped together diagnosis. Future research could break this down further to see if there is a difference in developmental delays between these diagnoses. The study determined delays specific to schizophrenia and other diagnoses. Targeted interventions could be implemented for children that demonstrate delays on the specific milestones to minimize their risk of developing psychiatric disorder.